Today, I wanted to talk about vertical investment versus horizontal investment. Just as a bit of a discussion, what do people mean when they use these terms, and what's going to be right for you and your account, as well as why it's a bit of a false dichotomy. It's not always a situation where you're choosing between horizontal and vertical investment for your account. You can get both. To start with, let's just talk a bit about what vertical investment and horizontal investment are. Consider an account where, you have a Hu Tao, and you have a Navia, and you have an Al Haytham. And you're like, who should I pull next? And you pull Arlecchino, and then you pull Sino, and then you pull Yoimiya, and then you pull Ito, and then you pull Ayato, and then you pull Wanderer. You get the idea. You're just pulling loads of different characters. Now, I'm only talking about main DPSs here to kind of simplify the point, but the idea with this is that you are building an account, but instead of really building up a few teams to be as strong as they can be, you're focusing on getting loads of different characters. You want to play loads of different characters, and why would someone choose to invest this way? Well, one consideration is Imaginarium Theatre. I've just been talking about how you spend your pulls here, but when it comes to how you spend your resin, Imaginarium Theatre is very much a horizontal investment check to even be able to play it in the first place. If you want to play Imaginarium Theatre, you're going to need to have built, quite a lot of characters. You don't need to pull for a lot of characters because you'll just accumulate lots of characters over time. If you're pulling for anyone, you'll get 4 stars on the banner of the 5-star you're going for. Or if you're going for 4-star, you'll get other 4 stars while trying to go for that 4-star. Unfortunately. So, just in general, over time, as long as you're pulling at all, it doesn't really matter if your pulls are focused on horizontal investment. You're going to have a lot of characters, and then you can build the 4 stars. Even if you don't have a lot of 5 stars, you can build the 4 stars. And so that, being able to actually fully do Imaginarium Theatre is an advantage of the horizontal approach. And if you take that approach with your 5-star pulls, you're going to have an easier time in the Imaginarium Theatre because a greater portion of your characters are going to be 5 stars, which tend to be stronger than 4 stars on average. So, there is that competitive advantage. The other advantage, though, is just kind of the fun factor. Now, what's fun is very subjective and will vary a lot for different people. But for a lot of people, their fun is getting to play lots of different teams. Genshin has a really interesting elemental reaction system. It's super unique. Genshin's combat is really, in my opinion, the best part of Genshin's combat system is the team building, and getting to try out a variety of different teams is really fun. And best way to do that is to pull for lots of different characters. Additionally, you can absolutely do this vertical investment approach while still being able to 36-star Abyss just fine. You might not be curb stomping the Abyss like the person with the C6 Nervalette is doing, but you're clearing. You can still 36-star Abyss without any crazy vertical investment or anything like that. However, if you want to crush the Abyss, if you want to have a really easy time, if you want to be able to brute force your way through bad matchups in the Abyss, which another advantage of horizontal investment is actually that you don't need to brute force bad matchups because you'll have a variety of characters, so you bring the character that's a good matchup. But if you want to be able to brute force the bad matchups and crush the Abyss and be really powerful, it won't help you that much in Imaginarium Theatre, but vertical investment may be the way for you. Get some constellations, get some signature weapons, get that Homa for Hu Tao, get her C1, get Navia's signature weapon, maybe get C2 on Arlecchino, and then her signature. And then maybe you're getting C2 Ito in his signature. Maybe you didn't even pull these characters because you couldn't afford the pulls because you spent them on this vertical investment. And I'm just now realizing you only play Pyro and Geo DPSs, apparently. Fair enough. All power to you. In fact, you only play Pyro Polearm and Geo Claymore, but that's neither here nor there. Really, though, what this approach is doing is being like, hey, I want to make my teams really strong. I don't care as much about having as many teams. But there are naturally going to be lots of players that both want to have a lot of teams and also want those teams to be really powerful, okay? They want to have their cake and eat it too. And can you blame them? I mean, who wouldn't want that? I mean, me, to be fair, I don't really care about power, but I'm very much a horizontal investment player myself. I dabble a little bit of vertical investment here and there, getting some signature weapons for my favorite characters, or, okay, mostly for characters that synergize with Barbara is what I mean. But I do a little bit of dabbling in vertical investment, but I'm mostly horizontally investing my account because that's what's fun for me. But this is absolutely a valid approach as well. If you want both, fret not, because there is a solution. Sometimes you can do both at the same time, and that is what I'm calling diagonal investment. So, what's an example of diagonal investment then? Well, let's say you're looking to make your Tao team stronger, so you pull Furina, okay? Well, Furina's a new character, to some extent that's horizontal investment. But also, she's an upgrade to your Hu Tao. So now, your Hu Tao team is now 4 cost. Like, as in, cost being basically the number of 5-star pulls you put into the team. I should have explained that earlier, but whatever. Your Hu Tao team is now 4 cost because it has Furina in. Let's say you pull for Xilonen. Oh wait, and let's say you also put Furina in your Navia team. That's 3 cost. Hu Tao team's 4 cost. You pull for Xilonen, and let's say you put her in the Arlecchino team and the Hu Tao team. Right? Now you have a 5-cost Arlecchino team and a 5-cost Hu Tao team. What you're doing with each of these pulls is investing into multiple characters, multiple teams at once. Now, this is probably better shown if I had an example that had more characters, right? So maybe you also had like a C2 Wanderer, and he got an upgrade from you pulling Furina. And maybe you had a Al-Haytham. He's one of the characters I mentioned before. Let's say you had a C0 Al-Haytham, and he got an upgrade from you pulling for Furina. So Furina was an upgrade to most of your DPSs at that point. She wasn't just investing into one team further, she was investing into multiple teams further. Hence, diagonal investment. She was both horizontal investment, supporting a lot of teams, and vertical investment, making those teams stronger. So now what happens if you put vertical investment not into your DPSs, but into Furina herself? You get her C1. Well, Al-Haytham's going up. Navia's going up. Wanderer's going up. Hu Tao's going up. You get her C2. Same thing again. You get her C3. Same thing again. Furina is the prime example of diagonal investment. She is the queen of diagonal investment. But she's not the only character where either pulling them themselves or going for constellations or their signature or someone else's signature is an example of diagonal investment. Xilonen, I already alluded to pulling Xilonen being an upgrade to some of your teams, right? Upgrade to Hu Tao, upgrade to Arlecchino. Alright, well, what happens if we now go for C1 Xilonen? We want for C1 Xilonen. We've just improved these two. Now we go for C2 Xilonen. And now we go for C3 Xilonen. Or no, not C3. Let's say her signature. We're going for C2 R1 Xilonen. right? Now, these teams are now way stronger because now Yelan's damage has gotten so much better, right? Sure, maybe vertically investing into Yelan is not the most efficient vertical investment, because if you vertically invested into the main DPS, they're doing loads of damage, and vertically investing into Yelan, apart from her C4 for HP scalers like Hu Tao, is not really increasing the character's damage. It's increasing the damage of a sub DPS. But a sub DPS that's doing a lot of damage, so it's still a nice upgrade to the team. So generally, essentially, if a character is very versatile, if they have a lot of teams they're good on, they're a good candidate for this diagonal investment. Picking them up, and if they have good constellations or a good weapon you can go for, picking up those constellations, picking up their weapon, that is going to help you make lots of teams more powerful, whereas only going for the constellations and weapon of the main DPS is only helping the main DPS. Maybe in some niche situations, you can use the main DPS's signature on another DPS for great results. Like, for example, let's add Sino to this. Actually, let's not add Sino because I can't be bothered. I can't find him. But let's say you also have a Sino, and you pull for Staff of Scarlet Sands, and you didn't have Homa on Hu Tao, which I guess means she's down here, because we did assume Homa on her. Well, getting the Staff of Scarlet Sands on Sino is something you can give to Hu Tao. It's a really great weapon on her. So, that's going to bump her cost up by 1, whilst also bumping up Sino's cost. But the point is, going for these characters is generally going to be the most effective way to get an account that is both powerful and versatile. So if that's what you're looking for, if you want to have loads of OP teams, then diagonally invest. So which characters are the ones to look out for this? Well, I've already mentioned Furina, who I think is the sort of most recommended. I think she's the best character in the game right now. She's extremely versatile. She has really good early constellations. Well, just good constellations across the board, but early constellations I think are a bit more relevant to this discussion, although the later ones aren't irrelevant. So she's my number one recommendation to vertically invest into if you want to take this diagonal investment approach. And we have other great options, which is where I would put Yelan. And then we have kind of niche options. So these niche options are characters who, if you have multiple characters that want this support, then they are essentially diagonal investment. But for most players, they probably won't actually have multiple, or if they have multiple, it's just like 2 or something. So I think, Nahida's a great option. Basically, any Dendro team will appreciate vertical investment into Nahida. Seedrine is a niche option. She gets Hydro Res Shred at C2. I don't think her C2 is worth the amount of pulls you'd have to put in, but it's something to consider because she's pretty good at C2. Shenyun is a niche option if you have characters that like to do plunge attacks. Kazuha is a great option because his signature weapon is pretty versatile, and heck, there are even characters other than him himself that will want to use it, but also it's, going to be a nice upgrade to all the teams you're playing Kazuha in. As for his constellations, the C2 is a bit niche, but if you do fall within that niche, then it's very nice. I'm going to include Nilou C2R1, mostly because she's not really, even though she's kind of the character the team's built around when it comes to Nilou teams, she's still not really a traditional main DPS, and if you have characters you like to play that are some of the lesser used Hydro or Dendro characters, or heck, they don't even have to be some of the lesser used ones, but Hydro or Dendro characters can really appreciate a Nilou team, and vertical investing into Nilou can be a nice way to vertically invest into those characters. If you have multiple of those characters that you like to do that for, Nilou can be a good choice for that vertical investment. Chiori, if you're playing teams where you do sort of appreciate that Geo sub DPS. Same with Emily if you are using characters that appreciate burning, or even where burning simply non-intrusive, a well-invested high constellation Emily is just doing so much damage, it's gonna make a bunch of teams really strong. Actually, maybe Yaimiko as well. She's also an off-fielder and she has some pretty good constellations. Oh, and Shenhe. Shenhe, if you play cryo teams. Yaimiko, you're playing teams that want an off-field Yaimiko. That was pretty self-explanatory. And there may be some I'm missing because I'm not an expert in constellations, and I'm just talking about 5 stars here. But one big one is Xilonen. Xilonen is gonna be so versatile. She does res shred, healing, and damage bonus from the Natlan set. She has great uptime on these abilities. She's providing a lot of value in one package. Her signature is even more damage bonus. And her C2 is, well, a variety of different buffs, depending on the element of the character. But her C2 for most teams that you play her in is going to be pretty powerful. So she is another example of a great option. Maybe she'll even go here because she's very versatile and she has more vertical investment options than Kazuha. And she's more universal than Nahida. And she scales better with a vertically invested main DPS than Yelan because she's amplifying their damage rather than just doing her own damage. So she could potentially wind up here, but I will conservatively put her here for now. She is going to be an excellent choice for people that want to make lots of teams better on their account. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like, maybe leave a cheeky comment about your thoughts on vertical and horizontal investment. And if you found this video insightful or entertaining, then be sure to subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.